Hey everybody, this is Zachary Jeans. Let's keep walking through the Bible. So today is episode 525 and we are in the book of Proverbs. Today, Lord willing, we're going to look at chapters 22, 23, and 24. So I invite you, as always, go to esv.org, English Standard Version.org, and there you can read through the chapters or listen. There's always an audio button down at the bottom, and if you click that, whatever verse that you happen to be hovered over, it will start reading out the Bible with not a computer voice, but an actual voice actor. Although I don't think they're acting, I think they're reading. Okay, why don't we stop? Why don't we pray? And we'll open up chapter 22 of Proverbs. Lord, I love you. God, thanks for your word. God, I love you, and I want this word to go out and do the work that you want it to do. Totally dependent upon you for that, Father. I'm dependent upon you to open my eyes to what you've said here. I've been through these passages a couple times now, and God, I just give it to you. I am a fallible human being, Lord. It's evident to me every day, and I need your grace, your steadfast love to guide me, to care for me, to go before me, Lord. And we all do, Lord. So it's in your name we pray, Jesus. May it be. Amen. Okay. So we are going to open up chapter 22 here, verse 1. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. A good name is to be chosen than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. Again, here's this concept reintroduced. There are things that are better than money. Now, if you're lacking money and rent is tough and you aren't able to take care of the things that you need to take care of, hearing something like this sounds pretty mocking. It sounds really hard to hear. And I'm with you there. I've been on the ropes financially many times in my life. But that said, you have to admit, if your name is trash, if your reputation is garbage, having money or not having money, life gets really, really tough. When you've done enough stuff in your life so that you can't be trusted, getting up off the ground, getting out of the gutter, as it were, financially is really, really hard. And even if you have money, getting back into the good graces of family or friends is really, really hard. So, protecting that investment, the trustworthiness of your name, of your word, in that sense, it is better than money. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is maker of them all. The prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it. Real quick word on that. The prudent sees danger, hides himself. You got this prepper culture out there, prepping for the end times. Gonna bunker down, right? Who knows? I've actually met people in my car who are talking to one another, not to me, but to one another about when they're gonna bug out, and go out to the property, whatever the property is, and they've got all kinds of survival stuff. I'm thinking of two guys in particular, but I've heard more than them over the years. And let me just say this. There is a spirit in Christian teaching that says, don't worry about anything, trust the Lord, and he'll make your paths straight, and you don't have to worry about the things in the world or care about politics or care about business or care about all of these things. There's this strong admonition because maybe pastoral care says my congregation is focused too much on the world. So they want to preach against the world and their congregation focusing on the world. So they say, trust the Lord. Don't focus on all this stuff in the news and you know, at work and things like that. Well, Proverbs is pretty clear that there's a prudent perspective that is able to see danger, and it's an informed opinion. They understand the dangers that are around them, and they make decisions to care for themselves and their family, and they protect them. This is what it means, in my opinion, to be in the world but not of the world. This is a component where Paul talks about taking care of your family, working hard, doing business, trading in the world, right? This is what Paul talks about when he says that, you know, hey, keep your head down, do your work, owe nothing to no one but love. Another concept, being available in this world, doing work in this world. Now, for some of you, you hear that and you're like, well, of course. And maybe the word has to come back at you. Maybe you are one of these people that a pastoral staff is concerned for, that is so caught up in the things of the world that you need to be told, like, well, yeah, you're all worried about this investment or what will happen with this law or what will happen in this world conflict, that you're unable to trust and have peace with God through these things. There's a couple sides of this, right? So, but I don't think it's wrong to be prudent with the dangers of this world and to care for your family and to see whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea to go forward or hang back in situations, okay? The reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches, honor, and life. There is reward, financial reward. It doesn't come all the time, and it doesn't happen in such a way that God wants you to make riches and honor and glory. You know, the rewards for doing well in your work, your God or anything. That is not the teaching of Proverbs, but it is also the teaching of Proverbs that there is financial reward in this world, and it's not bad. You just don't want the love of money, the love of mammon, to be your God, because that's evil. Verse 5, thorns and snares are in the way of the crooked. Whoever guards his soul will keep far from him. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Couple truths, right? Train your kid up in the way they should go. Even when they're old, they won't depart from it. And you might be thinking, I've been trying, Lord. And it doesn't seem to be sticking. Well, it's a lifetime thing. It's a lifelong thing. And you'll see it over time. And then the truth is the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. And don't we all know it if we borrowed money? Whoever has a bountiful eye will be blessed, for he shares his bread with the poor. Drive out a scoffer, and strife will go out, and quarreling and abuse will cease. You know, you try to redeem a relationship all the time with people that are difficult, maybe at work or in your house, your family. At some point, there's wisdom in saying, you know, I think we're going to go a different direction here. Paul talked about handing over people to Satan, that they'd be taught not to sin. In extreme cases, you know, infidelity in the church and whatnot. But in this case, talking just about somebody who is constantly mocking, scoffing, bringing strife to a family or in a business per se, and simply going, you know, you're a talented person. We think that you have a lot of value, but when we weigh it out, you're bringing way more strife to our workplace or this particular get together. We're just going to ask that, you either knock it off or you don't come around for a while. That can bring a lot of healing. A lot of healing. There are many times when wolves in sheep's clothing are put up with, and they are people that are talented, that are admired for their wolf-like abilities, their strong personalities, ability to, bark and put fear in the enemies of the people. But they oftentimes do that to the very people that they're around as well. Not a lot of times to the leadership, and that's why the leadership keeps them around, but often to their co-workers or fellow students or whatever it is, whatever organizational structure. And the leadership doesn't see that. But pulling that person out and removing them from the flock can bring peace and remove that strife. That seems obvious. A lot of Proverbs are, but in life, if you look around, you start thinking about it, you're like, yeah, why didn't we ask that person to leave earlier? Why did we ask the good people to leave that the wolf was given a hard time to? These questions, they have answers. And a lot of them are here in Proverbs. Whoever loves purity of heart and whose speech is gracious will have a king as his friend. The eyes of the Lord keep watch over knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the traitor. The sluggard says, "There's a lion outside. I shall be killed in the streets." Well, again, back to our sluggard. Always coming up with excuses not to work. Verse 14, the mouth of forbidden women is a deep pit. He with whom the Lord is angry will fall into it. Well, that's interesting. Again, this concept of being handed over to Satan or, handed over to your just desserts. You get what you desire. The Lord guards your way so long, and if you reject God over and over and over, he gives you into it. And next thing you know, you're neck deep in sin. Verse 15, folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far from him. Whoever oppresses the poor to increase his own wealth or to give to the rich will only come to poverty. Words of the wise here, verse 17. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge, for it will be pleasant if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips, that your trust may be in the Lord. I have made them known to you today, even to you. Have I not written to you 30 sayings of counsel and knowledge, to make you know what is right and true, that you may give a true answer to those who sent you? Don't rob the poor, because he is poor, or crush the afflicted at the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause and rob of life those who rob them. Make no friendship with a man given to anger, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways and entangle yourself in a snare. Wow, that truth about the wrathful man, the person given to anger. If you hang out with somebody long enough, your influence over them may not be what you had hoped it to be. And in short order, you may find that their influence over you is greater than your influence over them. So in this case, the subject of anger. You hang out with angry people, all of a sudden you feel justified in being angry or cussing people out or acting a fool, in situations that you would otherwise thought, there's no way I would say those things or do that thing. You hang out with somebody long enough that acts that way, very soon you'll take on those behaviors. And in this case, the concept of anger or wrath, being somebody who comes at people constantly with that, you're putting on, as a Christian, a behavior that is constantly being angry and wrathful towards people, whether or not you say it to their face or not. You may say it to other people who share that opinion. But what did Jesus tell us? Be angry and do not sin. Deal with it in your heart. But to say you fool or to be angry with your brother is to commit like murder, to be brought before in his case, the Sanhedrin, the Council of Judgment at the time that Jesus was alive, to be judged. But in the grander sense, to be judged in your heart before God, to have committed the act of murder in your heart. Anger is a tricky thing. It's like a fire, and it has to be contained and put in its proper place. And so often we rarely do. So to hang out with someone who is constantly angry, that's constantly committing that sin of murder in their heart, yes, Jesus spoke of it in that way, is to put yourself in a situation where you're tempted to be as such. And the Lord's not down with that. Give all your wrath, all your desire for judgment, give all that to God. Say, God, can you please deal with this? Lord, this is making me mad. God, please take this. Verse 26, be not one of those who gives pledges, who puts up security of debts. For if you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? Unsecured debt, man. I've got a little, and I'm trying to pay it off. I just don't want it. Do not move the ancient landmark that your fathers have set. Do you see a man skillful in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. Yeah, if you become good at something, eventually, people of authority, of power, they'll want to hang out with you and talk with you, even if you don't have money and power. Chapter 23. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what's before you, and put a knife to your own throat. If you are given to appetite, do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone, for suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle toward heaven. Do not eat the bread of a man who is stingy, and do not desire his delicacies, for he is like one who is inwardly calculating. Again, this goes back to the king, right? Sitting at a wealthy ruler's table or a wealthy business person's table, where they're like, oh, I got this huge spread of food. But inwardly, this kind of person, they're inwardly calculating. They say, eat and drink. But in his heart, he is not with you. You will vomit up morsels that you have eaten and waste your pleasant words. And you're like, how does all that happen? Did he poison the food? No. Is it just rich food and, it's just food you're not used to eating, so you eat too much of it and you get sick? Well, maybe you have some indigestion, you eat too much, sure. But if we're following the metaphors and the back and forth here of ideas, I think what he's saying, the speaker of the Proverbs here, Solomon, he's like, look, I've seen people who don't have much come to a table with much, and they get the opportunity to eat and dine with those of wealth, of leadership, and the first thing they do is they just start shoving this food in their face. It's a bad look. And the other thing is there are people at that table that may have invited you to that table, and they are outwardly saying, yeah, eat up, have as much as you want. And you think, oh, okay. But really what they're doing is they're judging. They're wanting to see if you're going to take advantage of the situation, if you're going to act in a way that is disproportional to the situation. That is, you look around the table, no one else is just shoving food in their face, right? But maybe you are. And that person's thinking, man, you idiot. He's not with you. Now, some of this is on the person who invites people. If they don't want them to eat, they shouldn't provide the opportunity to do so, right? There is some of that. But just a word to the wise. Enjoy a meal, enjoy a drink, whatever at a party. Just guard yourself from taking advantage of the situation, right? Have some circumspect. And he says, like, put a knife to your throat. Like, realize that all this abundance that you're around isn't necessarily a good thing, in the sense that you could fall into temptation and go too far in your conversation, take advantage of the generosity of the host in such a way that you won't be invited back, or you can't be trusted because perhaps they're just saying, let's see if this person is trustworthy. They're skilled in their work. Let's hang out with them for a bit. I know that they don't come from means. Maybe that they could hang out here for a bit, be cool, and we'll trust them further. But if you just blow that opportunity, start yapping your face off and eating your face off, they're like, yeah, I can't trust that guy. So, verse 9, do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. Do not move an ancient landmark or enter the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong. He will plead their cause against you. Apply your heart to instruction and your ear to words of knowledge. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with the rod, you will save his soul from Sheol. Now, we live in a culture where you can't spank kids anymore, really. My generation, Gen X, is probably about the last where that was at least accepted socially. And I'm 50 years old, so do the math. So you're talking late 70s, early 80s. You get any farther down the road and into the 90s, it was definitely wobbling towards not accepted. By the 2000s, even though it occurred, you'd hear stories of it happening. It definitely was not. It was definitely frowned upon. So I know of one story of a pastor who was making sure to swat their kid on their butt as a young child, and not aggressively, but just when the kid acted out, just giving a swat. And that pastor's family member was aware of this, and they were not a Christian, and they took this person to task into sort of the social fabric, and I don't remember if it was into an actual legal situation, but I do remember that this person had to go to classes that were not Christian classes and be told how this was not good behavior and whatnot. I've known many people who have engaged in this practice of spanking and, not going out with canes and beating their kids, but trying to discipline their children like this. And the truth is in our society, it's not accepted. Now you can go into a whole conversation about, does society have all of its ills due to the fact that we don't discipline our children like this? I don't know, go debate it. But I'm just gonna say that here's a situation where a proverb may suggest something as being a good idea, but in our culture, it's just not accepted. So I would advise you in a pastoral sense not to do it. That said, there are many ways to discipline your children. And discipline is core to seeing that they're trained up in the way they should go, that even when they're old, they won't depart from it. That's not to say that they won't do wrong. If they didn't do wrong, they wouldn't need discipline, right? If they didn't do wrong, they wouldn't need discipline. So that's important, because sometimes people read something like this and are like, well, I disciplined my child once or twice or 3 times. They should not, go astray. No. Discipline is a lifetime. It's a lifetime. And we, in a sense, discipline one another throughout our lives, in our marriages, in our church, in our relationships. We're constantly admonishing one another to follow God, right? To follow his ways. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart too will be glad. My inmost being will exult when your lips speak what is right. Let not your heart envy sinners, but continue in the fear of the Lord all the day. Surely there's a future and your hope will not be cut off. That's a hope for our kids, right? That your heart would be wise. It's going to make my heart glad. That my innermost being will exult, be praising, full of joy, right? Exulting. When what? When your lips speak what's right. Verse 19, hear my son and be wise and direct your heart in the way. Be not among drunkards or among gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and slumber will clothe them with rags. That's the truth. I don't know if you've ever seen this in life, but I have. There were times in my life where I partied pretty hard before I became a believer. And definitely saw a few friends go off the rails, whether it was at college. Had a friend who just straight up stopped going to class, and they were able to do so because all of their college stuff and their lifestyle was paid for, and they just smoked a lot of pot and just hung out. Sweet gal, amazing, kind soul, and she just smoked so much weed that I don't know whatever happened to her, because I had only gone to that school for a year. I knew many people like that. And in my own life, I partied pretty hard at a couple points and was right on the edge of doing, stepping over that line to the place where I probably wasn't going to recover. By God's grace, even though I didn't know him yet, I can see that hand, that sort of providential, taking care of reality hand, pull me up out of that as I was seeking truth. But it's the truth. If you're constantly spending your money on drinking and drugs, partying, hanging out with people, all that money's going out. But guess what you're also not doing? You're not earning money or providing for, or you're constantly recovering from being wiped out. So all that time isn't productive, not for relationships or for providing for yourself or your family. So yeah, you will slumber, and slumber will clothe you with rags, right? You'll come to poverty. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. By truth, and do not sell it. By wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who fathers a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and mother be glad. Let her who bore you rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways. For a prostitute is a deep pit, and an adulteress is a narrow well. She lies in wait like a robber and increases the traitors among mankind. Number one pitfall to guys, going after the ladies. And not the ladies as in the sense of, your lady, the one you're pursuing under marriage or in marriage with, but that hot moment with someone else that's not yours is the downfall of many. And it is a feverish moment that comes upon people, right? It's that moment of like, oh, in general, you think that you would never do something like that. But in the moment, when that opportunity arises with the prostitute or adulteress, it is like a deep pit or a narrow well. You're trapped is the point. It's trying to tell you the truth here. Solomon himself, who's been down that path many times as king, knows once you're in it, you're down it and you can't get out. You're trapped in it. So you're trapped in that moment of lust and that moment of giving over yourself to an adulteress or prostitute. You might as well be at the bottom of a pit or a narrow well that you can't climb out of. Don't kid yourself. Who has woe, verse 29? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who tarry long over wine, those who go to try mixed wine. Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a serpent and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart utter perverse things. You will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, like one who lies in the top of the mast. They struck me, you will say, but I was not hurt. They beat me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake? I must have another drink. Now, a lot of people look to this passage and they'll tell you that this is absolutely definitively the passage that says, do not get drunk. I mean, aside from don't be drunk with wine, be filled with the Spirit, here's an absolutely plush passage with information about why you shouldn't drink. And I would say what Solomon is telling you here and what Jesus is telling you is don't get drunk, don't get hammered for the sake of getting hammered. Don't become that person who's a glutton and constantly drunk and falling off the wagon of life, trampled in the mud as it rolls over you, right? Here specifically, I think that this passage, and it's been studied in this context before by others, is referring not just to drinking red wine, but to wine mixed with drugs. And the kind of drugs that put you in a place of seeing things and speaking strange, odd things, being in a place where you feel like you're either at the bottom of the boat or on top of the mast swaying about, or having the waves rolling around and rolling over you of your perception. And so to that end, there are some who have understood this to be psychedelics or things that mess with your mind because of these descriptions, that this is more than having a glass of red wine or two. This is something much more. So I would say the Bible doesn't say that you can't have wine or have good drink or whatever, or celebrate with other people. But what it does tell you is don't get hammered. Don't fall into the pit of despair that alcoholism can give you. And if you're even a tiny bit given to that, walk away. Walk away. And in the case of psychedelics and drugs, don't give yourself to them, because they'll twist your brain around and you'll find yourself king of your own thoughts, declaring things that are in opposition to who God is. All right, let's move on. Be not envious of evil, chapter 24, nor desire to be with them, for their hearts devise violence and their lips talk of trouble. By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in abundance of counselors there is victory. Wisdom is too high for a fool. In the gate he does not open his mouth. So you have this contrast, and again, we'll come back to this evil planning proverb here in a second. But you have those who do envious, or those who do evil things. Don't be envious of them. Don't be around people who devise violence. Don't hang out with people who talk constantly about setting up trouble for others. But rather, you have this concept of by wisdom, build your house, by understanding, fill your life with these things, and good stuff will come around you. Don't go for the evil, quick, get rich quick thing, taking from others, but rather slowly, carefully build your home. Verse 8, whoever plans to do evil will be called a schemer. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer an abomination to mankind. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Rescue those who are being taken away to death. Hold back those who are stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, behold, we did not know this, does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? And will he not repay man according to his work? So this passage is especially taught from our perspective with the gospel, and in context of some of the prophets who were spoken to, like, hey, it's on you as a watchman, Ezekiel, if you don't go and tell people. It's on us if you know the truth of the gospel, if you don't proclaim it and share it with others, even if they don't want to hear it. Because guess what? You know and they don't. And God says, I know your heart, Zach. I know your heart out there who knows the gospel, who knows the truth, that there's a way to be right with God. There's a way for God to forgive your sins. There's a way to be right with God so you'll be with him forever and not away from him in a place called hell, place of judgment. And if we say, look, I didn't know, and you do know, that's on you. That's on you. And God will hold you accountable. And you're like, how can God hold me accountable if I'm in heaven? Reward and the lack thereof. And an eye that looks at you and says, you knew. Come be with me, but you knew. You had the opportunity. It strikes you to the heart. To hear God know these things and convict you of such. Verse 13, my son, eat honey, for it's good. The drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Know that wisdom is such to your soul. If you find it, there will be a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Lie not in wait as a wicked man against the dwelling of the righteous. Do no violence to his home. For the righteous falls 7 times and rises again, but the wicked stumble in the time of calamity. You probably know the right way to walk in life. If you have been walking with God for any length of time and read his word and been walking with him, you know the right way to go in general. Individually, in certain circumstances, yes, there takes time and prayer and discernment for these things. And there are questions of, I don't know what to do here. That's not what I'm saying. In general, you know it's good to grow in your knowledge of the Lord. In general, you know it's good to care for your family and not to eschew them. You know that it's good for you to hang out with other people who know the Lord, right? There's a whole host of things you know that are right, good, and true. And you know there are a whole host of things, as we've been reading in Proverbs, things you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be a lazy fool who rejects God and rejects responsibility, right? You go on to think about a number of these things that are wrong. So yes, you know what's right. You know what's right. So like honey, it's sweet. It's an incredibly wonderful taste, right? And like that, you should want things like wisdom, like you want some honey. Okay? They lived in a time when sugar wasn't always around. So this is a sweet, wonderful reward, right? Honey. Um, we don't want to be the kind of people that has the gospel, that attracts wisdom to our life, and then finds ourselves in calamity over and over again, and not turning to these things of wisdom, not turning to this truth that we have with God. We want to be the people who, though we stumble, okay, and we fall, we rise and we get back up again. The person who doesn't have this truth, that hasn't gained any wisdom, that doesn't have the gospel, this good news that you are saved by grace and that God loves you, and he's constantly trying to call you back to himself in your day-to-day life. This person eventually, in their own strength, will find themselves failing. You don't have to drive 2 miles down the road in your city to see people who are truly at their end, finding themselves stumbling into the gutters of life. These are real people. They are people that have made decisions in their life or had things happen to them in life where they have stumbled and they aren't able to get back up. Occasionally, you find somebody who has turned to God, who has found wisdom and is able to get back up out of that life. But if you want a visceral, real reality, go drive around your downtown, wherever you live. That is the person who stumbles and is not able to get back up. And I'm not saying to go there because to go there to stand above those people like in some sort of self-righteousness. Not at all. The Proverbs we just read told us never to view people that are in a place of poverty or distress, even the wicked who have fallen to their knees in life, in some sort of prideful way, because God still loves them. God still cares for them. And our hearts should long to help. Right? But the righteous falls 7 times should alert us to the truth that we will fall. We will fall in this life. We will fall short. Maybe not in the grand sense of, hopefully, Lord willing, not falling into adultery or stealing from our work or our church or something, or doing something else that's super egregious. But perhaps we just fall short in our Bible study. We fall short in providing in the way that we said we would for a situation in our family. The answer isn't to give up. The answer is to look to the Lord, to desire that wisdom and that good way of doing life, and to receive God's grace and to get back up again. And why 7 times? Well, 7 is a perfect number in the Bible. And so the idea is that there's no end to getting back up. You get up over and over and over and over again, and you don't give up. God hasn't given up on you, and you know that. And as such, you don't give up on you. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls. Right there. And let not your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and be displeased and turn away his anger from him. Fret not yourselves because of the evildoers, and be not envious of the wicked, for the evil man has no future. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. My son, fear the Lord and the king, and do not join with those who do otherwise. For disaster will arise suddenly from them, and who knows the ruin that will come from both. Just a quick word. It's really easy to express ourselves online in social media. Whether it's just more of a hunky-dory platform like Facebook, or something a little more edgy like a Twitter X, or over there on the chans, like total Wild West of the internet, some Reddit thread, right? People can just say whatever they think they want to say. And I would say this, much like the word about sitting at the king's table, put a knife to your throat, Be careful, in other words, how much you eat. You want to be careful what you say. And you would maybe come back at me and say, well, I'm an American. Let's say you're an American. I have freedom of speech. You do, but what we say has consequences in this world. And even if you think you're championing a particular position with a authority figure that is in power and you're on their side, you might find yourself at odds with that person at some point and feel obligated because of your desire to speak your truth to just start railing against that person who's still in authority. And that person in authority, although at one point you might have been on their side, they don't know who you are and they don't know you exist. I don't care how many times you retweeted them or reshared their posts. But if you find yourself in opposition to that person or that particular group in their authority, they will probably notice you if you're against them. They don't notice you if you're for them. They will notice you when you're against them. And it's worth noting that God has people in power, whether they're good guys or bad guys, right? He has them in authority and power for seasons of time for his purposes. And it's not a great idea to always be at odds with those who are in authority and power. Now, again, I'm not saying that you can't raise your voice, make your political ideas known. Just be careful how you say those things, right? You want to temper your words. You want to salt your speech with grace and speak wisdom into situations, and just be careful. More wise sayings, and we'll close with this. Verse 23, these are also sayings of the wise. Partiality in judging is not good, right? Blind justice. Whoever says to the wicked, you are in the right, will be cursed by peoples and abhorred by nations. But those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them. Whoever gives an honest answer kisses the lips. Prepare your work outside and get everything ready for yourself in the field. And after that, build your house. You know, that little word there, prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself in the field. And after that, build your house. In an agricultural sense, that's go take care of your business, the planting or the tilling first, right? And the planting and the watering and making sure all the weeds are taken care of. And then after everything's going that direction, now come back and take care of your own house. Because if you miss the opportunity in your work, if you miss the opportunity in your business, the window of opportunity, because you're busy doing a good thing, building your house, that opportunity to earn income will be gone. That's a good word for any of us. That's a good word for me. In a very pragmatic part of life, doing your work quietly as unto the Lord means doing your work and providing for your family so that you're not one who doesn't provide for your family and is worse than an unbelieving person, somebody who rejects God. Implies that you do work and that you provide. Well, what's the best way to provide? Well, you want to take these windows of opportunity and do this hard work out there, whether it's in, just a day-to-day 9-to-5 job or it's setting up your own business. Go set that up, put the effort in there, and then take care of your house. Put it second. You'll get time to do that. Trust that. But take care of the work first. Now, this isn't saying to neglect your family or your duties as a husband or wife or a parent. That's not what this is saying. But some people can hide behind busy work. We all can. In doing things around our house. And we forego the opportunity that's before us to provide for that very home that we love. Okay? Be it not a witness against your neighbor without cause, and do not deceive with your lips. Do not say, I will do to him as he has done to me. I will pay that man back for what he's done. Okay? Don't go at people. Don't seek revenge. Golden rule, man. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. Okay? Not do unto others as they have done to you. I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. And look, it was all overgrown with thorns. The ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. Then I saw and considered it. I looked and received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. Let us be diligent in our work. Let us go out and prepare the field, whatever that field is for you. Let's put the effort in to these things that God has given us to provide for our home and our family. Not because they're our God, not because the money itself is our God, but to be faithful in this work that God has given us. God has given you a window of opportunity to do work. Do that work. Again, not to the neglect of honoring God, the body, your family. You got to take care of, but you do know when it's like, oh, I'm a little too tired. Oh, I just need a little more rest. Oh, let's just kick my feet back up on the couch. Goodness, I am so guilty of watching an extra football game, right? I am so guilty of putting aside the opportunity to take care of something that I could take care of something. I am not speaking from, some vaunted view of everybody else. Like I'm above it all. I am not. This is one of the things I fall down on. But the truth is when I do put my hand to the plow, when I do get up and work hard at the things which God has given me, he blesses me. That means I don't come home early. I stay out and work my shift because I'm self-employed. I have the choice of when I come home. Okay. Yes, some nights I'm too tired to drive, so I come home, and that's a safety issue. But there's some nights when I'm tired when it's not a safety issue. It's just I don't want to work anymore, so I come home. So I deal with this. I don't know what you deal with in terms of your challenges to stay at the wheel, to put your hand to the plow, whatever work you are given, okay? But know this. If you prepare your work outside, if you work on that stuff, then come home and do the things at home. Put things in their proper perspective in their place. Don't be the one who's like, I just put my feet up for a bit. There's a lion outside. Too much danger out there. I'm not going to work today. Okay. Have discernment. Sometimes it is dangerous out there, and sometimes you do have to turn away from opportunity. Be prudent, as we read. But you got to know. You got to know what's right, what's wrong. And if you talk to the Lord and spend some time with these Proverbs, I think you'll come to those conclusions, those discernments. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for walking with me today. Until tomorrow, I'm going to tell you to keep on walking. Wherever you're falling down, get back up. Okay, wherever you're falling down, get back up. God bless you. Bye-bye.